What's up, residents? It's Alistair back once again with something many of you have been requesting. Gamera has arrived. The reboot of everyone's favorite giant flying turtle has finally released after all these years of waiting, titled Gamera Rebirth. And it's fair to say it surprised everyone with how good it is. It's a kaiju action fest with some genuinely likable characters and a simple but effective story. And yeah, the character designs are a bit weak, but something that isn't weak are the monsters. The redesigns of these classic kaiju in the show are incredible, and they put up a good fight against the Guardian of the Universe. But which one of these monsters is the most powerful kaiju? Well, let's get into it. We also asked you residents which kaiju you thought was the most powerful, so stay tuned for the end where we reveal the results. Special thanks to today's sponsor, Honkai Star Rail. We decided to partner up with this game because we felt like it's something you residents would love. Jacob and I love Godzilla and monsters of all shapes and sizes, and this game has plenty of creatures that look like they came straight from Skull Island. But what is this game I hear you screaming at your monitor? Well, it's a new multi-platform galactic fantasy from HoYoverse, the makers of Genshin Impact. With more than 80 million downloads, Star Rail is a turn-based RPG where you get to meet new friends, explore new worlds, increase your combat power, and overcome powerful enemies. It's super easy to pick up, but challenging to master as you create unique teams and strategies as you face off against increasingly more powerful enemies. The graphics are also just amazing, and the 3D characters look better than some actual anime shows of late. Find treasure chests, solve puzzles, or just listen to stories of the inhabitants of this universe. Explore the secrets of this world around every corner. And best yet, this game is completely free to play on both mobile and PC, and your data is shared between different devices. And there's new limited 5-star characters in Bibita Lune, who has the power to manipulate water and life and uses it to deal hefty damage against opponents, and Fu Zhuan, who can reduce the damage received on all teammates and can take some damage for her teammates, making her an excellent damage-reducing support character. And with the 1.3 version update, there's new challenging modes where players can hone in their skills, log in for 7 days to claim 10 Star Rail special passes for free. There's never been a better time to get started. For new players, use my link down below to download the game. Once you're in-game, just enter the promo code to get your hands on some extra 50 Stellar Jade. Thanks Honkai for sponsoring us, and thanks residents for listening. We hope you give the game a try because it helps support the channel. Now, back to the video. Chaos, Jiger, Zegra, Guiron, Virus. All these monsters featured in the Showa series of films which released between 1967 to 1971, all of which have powerful abilities that really do a number against Gamera, and upon their reintroduction into Rebirth, they get shiny new designs that take the spirit of their tokusatsu original and bring it to the modern age, adding a unique twist to the creatures' looks, making them deadlier than ever. But of course, to measure their power, we have to make a baseline, and that's Gamera himself. Standing 60 meters tall, weighing 800 tons, this kaiju is heavily armored and kitted out with various weapons to use against other monsters in battle, arguably even more than the king of the monsters himself. He has jets that shoot from his limbs, allowing him to fly at supersonic speeds, to outmaneuver missiles and even enemy kaiju attacks. With this, he can create a shell saw, where he spins at such a pace where he becomes a buzzsaw, being an incredibly effective finishing move, cutting the kaiju clean in half. Similar to this is his jet barrier, where he can make an impenetrable bubble, preventing even Gauss's supersonic scalpel from penetrating the shield. He also has an electromagnetic shockwave, which can be used to disorientate opponents, before using his Flame Blast, a deadly fireball that shoots from his mouth, powerful enough to decimate anything that stands before him. Even more powerful than this is his Aurelium Beam, which had enough power and range to shoot straight through the moon. Gamera is incredibly well built and physically strong, allowing him to deal substantial damage in battle and even lift and throw other monsters. But this doesn't come as a trade for agility, as Gamera is still incredibly fast, being able to leap at his enemies and dodge attacks underwater. He also has an Ember Vanishing Hand, where he directs all his fire energy to his fist, which can be used to cook enemy Kaiju from the inside out. And finally, he has Endurance. No matter what threat stood in his way, Gamera was not about to go down without a fight, and with critical injuries, still bravely fought to the end. So that was Gamera. Let's talk about his opponents. The Gyaos are incredibly fast bird-like creatures, ranging from only a meter tall in their infancy to 50 meters tall as they rapidly grow. There was even a Super Gyaos that grew to 85 meters tall. They can fly at over Mach 3, roughly the same as an XB-70 Valkyrie. In terms of ranged attacks, Gyaos can fire tongue spears, and they can even fire a hyper-condensed beam called the Supersonic Scalpel, which can really do some damage against the Guardian of the Universe. They also have energy shields, which are capable of neutralizing smaller, more conventional attacks from human weapons. They have the advantage of numbers. Those smaller Gyaos really don't stand a chance against Gamera and are swiftly swatted away like flies. The deadliest attack from the Gyaos was Corruption. Super Gyaos has the ability to shoot an organ like a spear into Gamera's throat, which injects the RNA virus into him, overriding his better nature, corrupting him to be evil, though he was able to overcome this when the lives of children was at stake, since he will stop at nothing to protect them. Gyaos was defeated by Gamera's Fire Breath, and Super Gyaos was defeated by his Jet Barrier, which completely just mashed him up. So how does Gyaos stack up against the rest of the Kaiju? Let's find out. Jiger was the next opponent to show up in Rebirth, standing 60 meters tall with a length of 180 meters. Jiger is incredibly agile, being able to dodge Gamera's Fire Blast. Like other Kaiju, Jiger has a weak energy shield which neutralizes oncoming conventional man-made weaponry. Most notably, Jiger has a sharp spike at the tip of her tail which can penetrate Gamera's thick hide and electrocute and stun the Guardian of the Universe, temporarily immobilizing him. She's also just sadistic. Just listen to that laugh. Jiger was defeated by Gamera's Vanishing Hand, which roasted the poor Kaiju. There's not much to say about this monster. Overall, Rebirth Jiger is heavily nerfed compared to her Showa counterpart, and lacks many of the abilities that made her so powerful in the original. But let's check out the next Kaiju to see how it stacks up. Zegra, the first aquatic Kaiju in the list. This shark-like monster is an incredibly effective killing machine, at least it's good at killing humans, with a length of 130 meters and a height of 110 meters in its terrestrial form. Zegra is capable of swimming in excess of 200 knots, faster than any ship known to man. But he can not only swim, but also glide. By leaping into the air, Zegra can sail down onto whatever opponent stands beneath him, and even use his ranged attack in the process, having the ability to fire multiple shells of micrometallic particles called Liquid Shot, which can reach targets up to 32 kilometers away. Zegra also has an elastic tail, which is able to extend far beyond his body, and like Jiger, has a spike on the tip of the tail, which is sharp enough to pierce Gamera's skin. Zegra put up a good fight, but was ultimately defeated by a blast of Gamera's Fire Breath. Now we get to the good stuff. Guiron is a blade-headed Kaiju that stands 40 meters tall with a length of 120 meters. He is a long, slender creature with beady red eyes and mandibles that open up, revealing that disgusting face only a mother could love. Thanks to Guiron's slender build, he can jump, swing around and dodge oncoming attacks like an acrobat, outmaneuvering Gamera's ranged abilities and returning attacks right back to his opponents. And he even has a ranged ability, Shurikens, which load from the peak of his spine and fire down his back and out of the tip of the blade. penetrating Gamera's thick skin with ease. And let's talk about the elephant in the room, the ginormous blade, capable of cutting straight through Gamera's flesh and even his shell. The blade is also capable of absorbing Gamera's fireball attack, making it an efficient defense characteristic. With the blade, Guiron was able to cut Gamera's arm clean off. Guiron completely gutted Gamera in their fight, cutting straight through the protective armor on his stomach, right through the back of his shell. This move nearly killed Gamera and pushed him to his last resort, using his remaining energy to activate the shell saw, which sliced Guiron in half, before he retreated back to the ocean to rest. Finally, in the penultimate episode of Rebirth, Gamera faced off against Virus. Possibly the biggest glow-up in the series, Virus is a gigantic squid-like monster with bright gold skin, walking along on 8 tentacles and covered in armor plating. His size is difficult to measure since his body appears to be roughly 70 meters tall, though his tentacles can stretch hundreds of meters past the anchor points. From the tentacles, Virus can blast an electrical charge which can incapacitate the Guardian of the Universe, and he is incredibly strong, being able to lift Gamera high in the air and toss him about as if he were nothing. Virus also has a far more powerful shield than the previous Kaiju on the list, being able to completely block Gamera's fireball attacks, merely nudging the monster, annoying it at best. His most powerful attack is known to the aliens in the show as the Lightning of Hemden. By using his cannon to thrust himself into space, he has the ability to aim down at any target on the planet and rain hellfire down below. Although this leaves him vulnerable to oncoming attacks, as Gamera flew straight through his beam and sliced the Kaiju in half. So, which was the most powerful? Oftentimes, shows would leave their most deadly obstacle for the last episode, giving characters one final hurdle before the series ends. The last monster in the show was Super Gauss, which faced off against an already exhausted Gamera. It didn't manage to draw blood, but was able to corrupt him with the RNA virus before being annihilated. So I don't think it was more powerful than some of the earlier monsters on the list. Jiger and Gauss both were monsters that were able to draw blood, but in the end fell to Gamera's more basic attacks, although Jiger had the upper hand with her stun capabilities. Zigra's elastic tail and liquid shot were effective in his battle against Gamera, but in the end he fell in a pretty embarrassing fashion. The debate really boils down to Guiron and Virus. Guiron was able to severely injure Gamera, dismembering him and almost killing him by cutting straight through his torso, and Virus proved to be incredibly well built for defense against Gamera, and toyed with him like a cat playing with its prey, using his immense size to his advantage. But in the end, I think it's very clear which monster is the most powerful. Guiron. This Kaiju was the monster that set in motion all of Gamera's struggle with his following opponents. Being far weaker than he was before their encounter, he was never able to fully recover from their fight, having to defend himself with only one arm. There isn't another monster on the list that has as many offensive attacks that deal significant damage against the Guardian of the Universe. So for that reason, he takes the #1 spot. So for us, the list would go something like this: Zigra at number 6, Gauss at number 5, Jiger at number 4, Super Gauss at number 3, Virus at number 2, and Guiron in first place. But what did you think was the most powerful monster in Gamera Rebirth? Well, over on Twitter, we did a poll to find out exactly that, and the results aren't too far off. You agreed Guiron is number 1, but in second place is Gauss, third place is Virus, and fourth is Jiger. And I couldn't fit a fifth option in there, but I think we can all agree Zigra was the weakest of the lot. If you agree with our rating, let us know in the comment section down below. I had a lot of fun watching Gamera Rebirth and covering its monsters in today's video, so if you want more Gamera content, give this video a big old Kong-sized thumbs up so we know what to make more of. Don't forget to subscribe and stomp the notification button to become a resident of DangerVille today. I've been Alistair. and we'll see you, residents, in the next one.